Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the Miles with Moms podcast. I am Whitney.
I'm Olivia.
I'm Tricia.
And we are missing Shanna today. But we can do it. We can do it without her, but we will miss her.
Yes, she's missed, but we will do this.
We'll carry on.
Somehow,
Don't feel bad for us. So in case you don't know, this is a podcast for moms who run by moms who run. And our goal with this podcast is for mother runners everywhere to never have to run alone or feel alone in their mom life struggles or journey to accomplishing big goals, because taking time to take care of yourself and to chase those big goals as a mom is not only okay, it's awesome for you and everything that it's teaching your kids. So today we are going to be talking about, I don't know if I would call it a fun topic, but when did we actually feel normal postpartum? Because I think on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, you probably see a lot of bounce back stories. And so we are going to share our experiences, which I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but probably are not bounce. I know mine's not a bounce back. No.
Right.
But yeah, before we do, we want to do a shout out and I just kind of want to say hi guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, this got awkward. How are you, Olivia? How are you?
I am good. I'm very good. Let's see. I went to watch Shanna run her second track meet yesterday. We went down to Vegas, and
cool.
Yeah, so shout out really quick to Shanna. She did great, and it was just really fun. I don't know anything about the track world, so for me, it's all learning, and it's really cool. There's a lot of things like moving parts to it. Excuse you. There's a lot of moving parts to it and stuff. Hopefully the mic did not just pick up his burp. But yeah, and it's just so fun. And she has a really good attitude about everything. It was windy, and she's not going to talk about that, but it was windy.
But you will.
And I will
about wind.
I couldn't go wind whole weather podcast just about me complaining about wind. But yeah, and so because I was there just standing, and I was watching her kids and then my kids. So I think people were really excited to see us leave.
It was just you with eight.
Just you with eight kids.
Yeah, and then we did have another friend that showed up, but she had her newborn baby, so I wasn't gonna be like, "Hey, help me wrangle all these children." But I mean, I always say this, like if you're my friend, I will treat your kids as my kids and everything. So that's not a problem for me, and she has a wonderful family. So I mean, I love them all. So it was honestly just a ton of fun, and the track scene is so different than like just what I'm used to, which is distance, and like they only have a few seconds that they can like PR with and stuff, and that's wild to me. I just was like, just keep running and you can PR. Like, this is crazy. You should just keep running. But that's how it works, and it's just really cool. So
so I saw on Instagram she ran the 1500 and she ran the 440, which is blazing fast. So I was trying to do the math. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I'm like, I ran track in high school, but that was it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is there a 1500? I don't understand. Just do the whole track.
That's what I asked too. I was like, why?
But then I'm doing the math, so I'm like, that was a sub 5-minute mile, right? I mean,
yeah.
Right?
I think
if she kept running the 100, she would have finished under 5 minutes.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think it might have been like equal to a 5-minute mile, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that was what I was thinking. I was like, this is so much learning for me, because like, why is it a 1500 and not just the full, even 1600? Come on, buddy.
Do you know, Tricia? You ran track. Oh, shit. Wait, can you hear me? Uh-oh. There's a lot.
Shanna did explain it to me, something about how the pros don't do that distance. And that's why. So when she's back on, we should ask her.
Okay. Or
so
if one of our listeners wants to pop in and tell us, go for it. Hey, Tricia, are you okay? Can you hear us?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
My headphones are dying. I didn't realize that they.
Oh, okay.
So when they
I
went
just
out,
saw you mouth, "Oh shit," and then grab your head, and I was like, "Oh no, what is happening?"
You might have been offended by Grayson.
Right? No. I'm just gonna have to figure out when this thing dies. Like, how do I hear?
I think I can go in and change. I can go in and change the settings. I think when they die.
Great.
We're all still learning here, guys.
I don't think I can, but you might just have to log out and log back in. Okay. So hopefully you won't be in the middle of the conversation. You're going to do that now?
I'm going to do that now just so I don't leave it like an awkward time.
If you birth, just do it with your
While you do that, I am going to read and Olivia's parent. This is just going to be a podcast with Whitney. I'm just going to. Olivia's talking to Grayson. Tricia left. Shanna couldn't be here. So I'm just. Here's what I did this weekend, guys. It's back. Okay. You are saved. Everybody's saved. It's not going to be the Whitney podcast. That's why, I was an anchor on a morning show, and like everybody thought it was going to be called Wake Up with Whitney. It's like, how amazing would that have been?
That's so catchy and cute. I love it.
But it was
I love a morning show.
That's what it was called. Good Morning Show. So
cute.
It was fun.
My gosh.
Okay. So our shout out is to Shri, who is, do you follow her, Olivia?
I do. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
She's such a positive person on Instagram. She's a wonderful cheerleader. And so I am going to share with everybody a little bit about Shri. So she says, "Hey, I'm Shri, and this April marks my second running anniversary. I started running 5 months postpartum in the thick of doing it all with no village around. Running was my lifeline. Even 30 minutes felt like air again. I could barely run 2 minutes when I began, but I stuck with it, did a couch to 5K, and eventually ran my first 5K in 45 minutes. Fast forward to April 2024. I crushed my first race in 32 minutes, then went on to run my first half and full marathon in the same year, finishing the full in 5:29. Thanks to a few amazing people in my corner. Special shout out to Shanna and all of her help on Endure 365 plans. This year, I am chasing a sub 5, and I share my journey at her Instagram handle is Run with Shri. That's SHRI. To inspire women, especially brown women who've never seen themselves as athletic, to find freedom in running. If I can do it, truly, so can you." So I love that.
Yay, Shri. That's so great. I love that.
We need more people like her.
Yeah. No, I agree. Awesome. That's amazing. That's
just so many, like there, not so many, but I feel like there's like a crop. I don't know why I use the word crop of just very positive cheerleaders on Instagram. Like Elise is another one. Allie Bree McGee, who, they're just always there to shine a little light on everyone in the Instagram world. So
Mama Dio runs.
Yes.
She's definitely
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth is
awesome.
Great.
One of the crop.
And so
funny.
The crop. She's one of the crop. I don't know.
Cream of the crop.
Why do these things come out of our mouths?
We don't.
I know. I have those thoughts all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. Yesterday,
we believe you.
Yeah, we heard it.
We were driving back from this track meet, and I could tell that Shanna was getting tired, and I was like, just stop talking for 1 second. And then I would be like, it's crazy. You know what I was thinking about? And I was like, why? And she was like, I'm glad you were talking because I was getting a little tired. And I was like, I stopped. And I was like, I should keep talking. It's crazy. But at least that wasn't recorded like this.
You guys should have hit record and made it a Patreon.
I know, huh?
Rambles with Olivia. Tricia, you just got back from vacation.
We did. It was so nice. We were in Naples for a week for the kids' spring break with my parents. Spent a lot of time in the sun and the beach, the pool. The kids had a blast.
That's so nice.
It was so nice. We did like
it's so nice your parents retired someplace beautiful.
Yeah, my dad still works, but it's pretty close to the retired life.
So when you lived in Florida, did you live in Naples?
No.
When you were
So I went to college in Boca Raton, Florida. So
that's where my grandma lived.
No way.
That's where I went to ballet school.
Yes. No way. Usually I say it, people are like, "Where's that?" I went to like
the mouth of the rat.
Yeah.
I went to Spanish River High School there for a
way.
year.
Okay, so I went to Lynn University, which is like
oh my gosh,
right around the
wow. That's crazy. I went to a little ballet boarding school there. If you ever saw a short bus driving around, that was all the ballerinas.
Oh,
Olivia was on the short bus.
You were on the short
Yeah.
bus. It's all coming together. You on the short bus. Yeah. I just got back last night. Back to reality.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Back to reality.
Back to reality. Was that an En Vogue song? Back to life.
Oh.
Back to last week I was singing Bob Seger.
Oh.
And now I'm reading. It's one of those.
Wasn't that let's like reel to reel? Back to life, I think.
Oh, I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure.
I knew. Okay. Are you looking this up?
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with that knowledge, honestly. Because were they not a one-hit wonder? Did they have other songs?
I don't think so. That's kind of like one of my skills is like
one of your skills.
Useless trivia.
Oh yeah. Well, you pulled out the Donna Summer earlier in the.
Yeah,
that's right. No, Soul to Soul. What did I say?
Oh, we were pretty close.
Close.
Same.
Oh, did it just start playing?
Yeah, it was like an email. It was some ad.
This is a moment again. What's up, party people?
Oh man.
Okay.
Those were good songs back then, though.
They were.
Yeah, Jock Jam. Olivia, that was before your time.
She somehow, even though she's like 15 years old, she somehow knows like every reference I make. I don't know.
Yeah, as a teen mom, you're really, really mature.
I am about to embark on my sweet 16. So
happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to rent the short bus and make it into a party bus.
Oh, that sounds
yeah, that's the plan for my sweet 16. Double that, and that's what I am. I get a lot of references because, the only references I'll never get is movie. No movie references.
None?
No, probably not. Unless it's Wayne's World. Wayne's World. That's like the only movie I like. That's like, yeah. But it's because it's like old Saturday Night Live humor, and that was like. Yeah, that was like my jam. And so that's probably why I don't know. And also because I am 32 trapped in like a 60-year-old body. So.
I could see that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You know what I tried to do the other day? I was like, if we were the Golden Girls, who would be what? And I was really worried that I would end up being Dorothy. Like, nobody wants to be Dorothy. I was like, Olivia's Polly Rose. I mean, she's even from Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rose, who would I be? I didn't really watch it too much. I don't remember who the other ones were.
Oh my gosh.
Blanche?
Well, you're Blanche, clearly.
Blanche.
I like that. I'll go with Blanche.
I love that Shanna is Sophia. And I'm usually Rose. I usually get Rose.
I was gonna say we could split Rose, okay? I like that we're doing Golden Girls. Like most of the time, it's like, what four girls are we from Sex in the City? It's like
Golden Girls.
We're like, nah, let's take it up a notch and go Golden Girls.
Well, we were just talking about Florida. So, and what's amazing about Golden Girls is that they were all like Tricia. They were
our age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blanche was like supposed to be 40. Like she was hanging on to 40.
Yeah. Times have changed.
No.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
Times have definitely changed.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wild. You dress like that still?
I kind of wish we did.
Well, a lot of shoulder pads in that show.
Yeah.
And bright
I could rock a shoulder pad.
Yeah, I don't know about
Yeah.
How have shoulder pads not come back yet?
They did.
I feel like they tried.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Were people actually out wearing them in public?
Not me.
I didn't see anybody with mullets are back now.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the rat tail to come back.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Do you remember that?
Someone stopped me in my tracks for a second.
Okay, well, shall we stop talking about Golden Girls and talk about the reason why people are listening?
Sorry, people.
Sorry.
That wasn't too bad.
We digress.
Just a slight little sidetrack.
Yeah.
The Golden Girls.
I wonder how Blanche felt postpartum. I don't know.
I feel like when you talk about Boca, you immediately have to also segue into an older crowd. That's why, because that's what
true.
and that we just all had a connection on Boca, and we're
bizarre.
Not in our 60s.
Right.
So
this is true. Yes, I have fond memories of Boca.
Same.
Yeah,
beautiful place. Okay, never thought that this is what we would be talking about today. All right. How long did it take for us to feel normal postpartum? That was a question that somebody actually asked us to talk about. And so we are talking about it. Thank you to whoever submitted that. And so I'm going to give it to, who wants to talk first?
Tricia.
I think Tricia should, because she also is. What are your certifications again? I mean, you're a pelvic floor physical therapist, but I feel like you have a lot of important
stuff.
Words to add.
Ironclad crotch. I saw an ironclad coffee yesterday. I almost asked them for I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I am also a prenatal and postpartum exercise specialist, and I have a certification for pre-pregnancy athleticism. Totally am blanking now because all I can think about is ironclad crotches.
I know. It was that coffee also started with a C. So I was like, I thought you were going to be like, I saw an ironclad crotch the other day.
So too. And I was like,
ironclad coffee. So I have three children. They are now ages 9, 6, and 4. And I would say that normal it's a very interesting term, because I don't know if I ever was normal before kids, but if we're going to be, not in the doom and gloom of postpartum, I would say it was very different for each of the three. With my first, I think it was about a year. A year mark was probably the time when I was like, okay, yeah, I feel good. I feel comfortable in my skin. With my second, it was a little bit longer than that. And with my third, it was definitely closer to 2 years. So I don't know if that was just having 3 kids. It's a little bit more chaotic. It took me a little bit longer. But it was definitely different for all 3. And I do say, even with the clients that I work with postpartum now, I definitely think that there are, we say there's milestones for babies. I think it's the same for moms postpartum. So where that 6-month mark, you're kind of sleeping a little bit more. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more like yourself, maybe not 100%. But then the year mark is huge. And whenever you stop breastfeeding, because then when hormones start to normalize and everything.
So breastfeeding can kind of elongate your recovery?
Yeah, because your hormones are still not regulated when you're breastfeeding. And some people, I feel like, and maybe Olivia, you can speak to that, because we talked about this in the past, but a nightmare. That was a nightmare. So when I stopped breastfeeding, I was like, oh my God, yes, I have my body back to myself.
Yeah. With your third, since it took 2 years to feel back to quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
Do you think that played a part in it? Or when you hit that year mark and you're still not feeling back to normal? What do you think it was?
Hormones, for sure.
And can you classify when you say you felt abnormal, I guess?
Yeah.
What is when we're talking about running, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel not like yourself running?
Yeah, I would say I didn't feel completely back to normal until close to 2 years with my third. And a huge part of that was with hormones because my hormones were a complete mess and I ended up having them tested and stuff, but I just felt so like dragging. I also was having a lot of issues with iron at that time. So it was kind of like compounded between postpartum issues hormonally and iron issues, but
which breastfeeding, the baby gets the iron too, right? So
right,
or is that wrong?
taking everything from you. I don't know, like
like leeches kind of everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my first I felt back to normal with running, like I would say definitely by a year, maybe a little bit sooner than that. What about you guys?
So what did it feel? Well, what did it feel like though when you're running? You said you were just dragging. You felt tired.
Yeah,
basically.
I just didn't have like pep in my step.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was running in my body. Like it didn't. I didn't have that oomph.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that. That's how I felt postpartum. There was just that like, yeah, like when or you've taken a long time off of running and then you'll talk to people and they're like, I've never hit that runner's high, and it's like most people aren't going out there every single day and just hitting a runner's high, right? Like like I ran on the treadmill today. I wasn't like, oh, this is the best, I was like, but I like it, I enjoy it, I very much love my time that I run, but like after I had the baby, it was like I felt like I was never going to hit that high even a little bit again. Like it was just, and the only word that I was just replaying over and over and over again was that I was feeling drained, like, and that I would be like, he is sucking the life out of me. And I meant that like so literally. Like I didn't have any running friends, and then my husband. And so I just kept saying it over and over again. I was like, he's literally just sucking the life out of me, because they drain you in every way. Like, I mean, everything. It was, and I totally didn't know so many different parts of it, obviously fueling and all that stuff.
Yeah, and sleep, like,
in a minute, honey, please.
I feel like that's such a huge part of it too. You're having that interrupted sleep repeatedly.
Yes.
And then with me, it was like with 3 of them, it was so rare that all 3 would be sleeping through the night. So I think in addition to
I think that's such an important point, because I think so often when you're talking about like coming back postpartum, you're so focused on your body recovering, the pelvic floor, but it's like there are so many other variables. Sleep. So we all know I love my sleep, and important. Like I just think sleep is so important and fixes everything. Like you're not sleeping, you're not, you may not be getting the nutrition that your body needs if you're breastfeeding as well. Like those 2 things are so important and can be so impactful. So yeah, even if you had an easy delivery and you didn't feel like, your body changed that much, or what, well, obviously it did, but like, your weight is back to close to where it was or whatever, like you need to sleep to feel energy and to feel normal, but also to recover. I mean, that's when your body heals. So,
and the stress component of it too. Because I know for me, like my 3rd pregnancy, I was arguably the most fit and felt the greatest, had the smoothest drug-free labor and delivery. And like, I hate to use the word bounce back, but physically I felt phenomenal very early on. But there was something, like, I feel like it was just the mental drain that like compounding with stress and lack of sleep really, I feel like it wears on your body in ways that you don't really realize until you're trying to push it, like with
that's exactly what I was about to say, is you're trying to push it. I think because also when you have a baby, you're somewhat searching for your own identity back a little bit, even if it's a very subconscious thing. Like if you had told me back then I was trying to find identity in my running, I would have been like, no, not even a little bit. But then I'm like on the treadmill, like I have to get to 7 miles, only an hour left to go until I'm at 3, and it's like, and I couldn't recognize like why it was taking me so much longer to do the mileage I had just done a year prior, and it was taking me double the amount of time. But like you're actively searching for your own identity back. And and that's not a reflection on how much you love your baby or anything like that. It's not a reflection on that.
Unless you're a mom, I think you don't fully understand that. Like, it is totally an or. It is, I love being a mother, but also I need this too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. And we put especially when we love running and we have loved it before we had kids and everything, it's like we put a lot of value into running and like whether it's competitive or not, or you're trying to PR or whatever. And I think that's why people are like signing up for races and stuff. And it's like, oh, I could do this 6 months postpartum. I'll be back to running. And like sometimes you just need that wake up call of like, you will not feel like yourself yet, and that's okay. And like some of my friends that are still like nursing their babies and they're running all these races and stuff, I'm like, I'm so curious what it'll look like when you feel like yourself again, because right now you're supposed to be in baby mode. Like that's what you are supposed to be doing. And yeah, sorry, I'm watching her try to pull her pants off. Continue. I will mute myself.
I feel like I felt, especially with breastfeeding, I didn't realize how much I didn't feel like myself until I stopped. Did you have that experience?
I remember, so I started running when Cal was 1. That's when I started running with a local mom here who is like, she ran the Knoxville Marathon this morning and won it. And I know she ran it on a whim. Like she's a 2:37 marathoner. She's just crazy talented.
Good for her.
She's 45 too, which is amazing. What? But anyway, yeah, she's just genetically, she's a very hard worker too. But anyways, and when we started running together, she just opened my world to all this running knowledge. And she was like, you will feel so much better once you stop pumping. Because Cal abruptly stopped nursing. Because we found out 4 years later that he had a tongue tie that we didn't know about.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy. So like the fact that he was a preemie and was able to nurse for 10 months is like,
wow,
amazing.
It really is amazing. But he stopped abruptly and I just continued to pump because I don't know, Eleanor nursed for like 2 years. I don't know. Anyways. So, she told me to stop. She's like, you'll feel so much better once you stop. And I did. And I took her advice and I did feel so much better. Like my body just recovered better. And I remember I had less aches and pains. So yeah, all that is to say, like, obviously if you can and want to breastfeed your baby, do it, but you're right, like it does change your hormone levels.
Yeah, and recovery. And think about like the calorie deficit you're in breastfeeding alone, not even talking about adding in marathon training.
Oh yeah,
you're like literally a furnace.
That's so true. Right? Yeah, I directly remember, and like that's the thing that was so hard is when I had lost my train of thought because my son was asking me questions, but when I didn't know anything about fueling, like I had these pictures of, it was like Grayson was probably like 5 months postpartum and I'm so pale, like I'm just pale. And like everybody on that day, I remember they were like, oh my gosh, you bounced back so quickly. And I was like, yeah, I'm running and stuff. I think I was depleted of every nutrient ever. My body was just like, feed the baby. That was it. And, and I didn't know that much about like your milk supply could drop when you're exercising, because every book, it talks so much about like, if you were to get sick or things like that, that's when your milk supply can drop. But it doesn't talk a lot about doing any kind of exercise postpartum. And I don't know if it's a newer concept in the last 10 years that moms are just able to like, or maybe want to push themselves harder postpartum, or what it is, or maybe it just wasn't talked about as much. But when I distinctly remember probably a week after I stopped nursing each kid, like I felt 100% different. Like I could run an hour straight without just dying. And because after I had Grayson, like that was the craziest thing. I literally think about like, did it affect my lungs? Like, why can't I run anymore? This is so weird. And it was so frustrating. And just not really knowing where to look or why is this happening. And with Charlotte, I was able to be so much more prepared. Like, okay, I'm going to have to eat so much more just in general, just to run and sustain this, but just not feeling like myself. And then the week I stopped, it was like, boom, back to normal. Like I felt like myself again. And, and that's always when I was like, why was I pushing myself so hard during that time? Like, why? And
Yeah.
I would always break things up and I'd stop and feed her and stuff like that. That was never an issue. It was just like I couldn't just slow down for a year.
We just couldn't, we just couldn't accept that, like, this is where we were now.
Mm-hmm.
When both of my kids, I came back. It's so funny. Like, I didn't really know much about running back when I was a new mom. I just, it was just always something I did. I always ran. Just always did it, but I didn't know anything about training. So I didn't have any markers of like, I have to run this pace or I have to run this many miles or anything like that. Oh, it's raining again? Okay. Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. You talk about wind. We're going to talk about rain. It's been raining here a lot.
Oh, jealous.
This is a weather podcast.
This is a weather podcast.
Hal's our weatherman. He tells us all the weather. So anyways, so I don't remember like if I felt really winded or anything like that. I do remember my like pelvis felt stretched out, which is weird. Like it almost felt like the bones were like being pulled apart when it was running. Ooh. Yeah, sorry, that was a really
super visual.
Like
this
if you watch the YouTube, I am like using my hand.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. And as I've said in previous episodes, like I know that I started back way too early because again, I didn't have any knowledge. I didn't know. I really didn't know. The only risk that I thought that I was taking was for potential prolapse if I didn't wait 6 weeks, So that as far as like body feel, that felt abnormal. And I would want to say that it felt like that for many months. And it wasn't all the time. It was just every once in a while. But even now it's like if I'm tired or I dealt with the hormone stuff in the fall, it's the same kind of feeling where you just feel like you're dragging. And it's very draining. Running is draining and you just don't have the energy to put forth to do that extra thing in your life. So that feeling I very much credit to hormone imbalances and lack of sleep. Yeah. And I had hormone after Cal, I had estrogen dominance. So my estrogen I figured this out 2 years after he was born, where my estrogen was like crazy, crazy high, but everything else was really, really low. It was like pushing everything else down. And so that was making me feel very tired and not performing as I should. And so I had to get those regulated. So I also felt very angry.
Oh,
it's very estrogen. Lots of estrogen can make you very angry.
How long would you say with each of your kids, Whitney? When did you start feeling normal? 2 with Cal?
I would say, Cal, baby, I'm in the middle of a podcast.
My kids, every time I start talking, they are making noise too. Every time. And then they're quiet. So I get it. Get it every time.
He just told me I was useless. I don't know what he was asking me. He's talking about the rain.
A ring?
I don't know. I don't know. Ask Dad. He's home.
There you go.
Talk to your dad. How long did it take? I would probably say until I felt fully like myself around that year mark for both of them.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think you're right. The emotional toll is huge. I think especially post Eleanor, I think if I went and talked to any doctor, they would have said, yeah, you clearly have postpartum anxiety. Like when I went to the mall with Cal the other day and I was thinking back to how I took Eleanor when she was a baby and I was so nervous and I had to go for whatever reason. I couldn't wait to like get in and get out. And I didn't want any stranger to look at her. And like, I just think about how crazy I was, but now I can see that I was crazy, but in the moment I didn't feel like I was crazy. I felt like the world was a scary place, and if anybody looked at her, she would get their germs and get really sick. And like, I mean, I clearly had anxiety that was not taken care of. So, and obviously that takes a toll on you too. So couple that with hormone stuff, with not sleeping, and just like the stress of being a new mom, and then your body's been through a lot. Like, of course it's going to take you a while to feel normal, but thank goodness I had running, because without running, I mean, who knows? I'd be in a gutter somewhere.
Same. I still get anxiety like that if it makes you feel any better. Just the other day, I am anxious about a weekend that's coming up in 4 weeks, and I can't get it off my head. But it's because my kids will be near a pool, and all that I can think about is like, I have this saying that if everybody's watching, it might be a saying that everybody says, but if everybody's watching them, nobody's watching them. And so I've been like, there's this pool situation, and everybody's like, I've got them. And I was like, that's everybody now. That is everybody. Nobody's going to be got them. Nobody's got them. Nobody's going to be watching them. And so I get it. It's so draining. And the thing about that 1 year mark though, that like, I was just talking to a mom about this, and because they were asking like, when did I start running on the treadmill around my kids? And I was like, it wasn't at the year mark, but it was around like 18 months. But the thing about that year mark is you start to feel normal, but then they go through so many changes themselves that like your whole schedule could change. And so just like taking it in stride that just because you feel normal, that you're gonna still have to adjust to a bunch of things, you know, like their sleep schedule might change, so you might go and be tired, you might still be very, very tired and stuff. Like, that's something about that year mark that was always so tough for me. Like, I always like was anticipating like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like it's been a whole year now, but then they're so mobile, like whether they're crawling or walking, you know, like they are so mobile, and like that is very exhausting in itself. And so just giving yourself credit that if it's not a year, if you're still like at that 15-month mark and you're still exhausted, like that is so normal. And yeah, because then once you go into that 2-year phase, it's like, okay, then, you know, you've got a full routine established. You're used to them walking around and stuff like that. But even that year mark, that's pretty early, because a lot of babies are still crawling at that time. And you could, like, that is an exhausting phase of life. Yeah. It really is.
Or even when they start eating solids, like, I mean, I just feel like there's danger everywhere.
Yeah.
Or they're falling all the time, you know? It's like, boo-boos
so
every 10 minutes, and you're just like an emotional onslaught.
Yeah.
The most clutch time is when they don't move and they don't talk. That is the sweet spot.
Yeah. When people are like, oh, the newborn phase, I'm like, I love it. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
They make you happy and you make them happy. That's it.
Oh, see, I don't remember it like that. I just remember him crying a lot, and me being like, I don't know why you're crying. I don't know what to do. And then feeling really anxious, like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it crazy how everybody has different experiences or the different memories that we have? Like, both of my kids were amazing babies, but like toddlerhood, I always call it, like, I didn't have postpartum depression, but I most definitely had toddler depression. Like, when Charlotte was a year old, the amount of crying that I did, and like part of it was that I was alone so much, but oh my gosh, like I have these very visceral memories of like Charlotte standing on top of a table just screaming at the top of her lungs. And I would call my mom and I'd be like, this isn't normal. And oh, there she is. She's like this. And Grayson drew her a bath. So that's what's happening right now. Yeah. So, but we're out of the toddler depression a little bit now, but it was definitely hard. And that's why it's like, if you don't feel normal when they're one, like, that's okay. Like, having young kids is craziness in of itself. Like, you will not feel like yourself because you are not the person that you were before you had that child, you know? Like, even if it's I bet Shanna could attest to that. Even if it's your 6th child, you will still feel different. Right. So,
yeah, and especially when you start to have multiple of them when they're younger, like you said, and I think that was probably part of my issue at the 2-year mark with my third, because my middle was like so hard. I mean, she was such a good baby, and then she turned 2, and it was like, holy crap. And it was like,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She and Charlotte sound very similar, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That is draining, just trying to be like, how the hell do I calm you down? Like,
yeah.
It's so draining. Yeah. They just like,
it is.
take so much of your, I don't know.
Yeah. And it really does play on your emotions so much of like, am I not meeting their needs, you know? Right. And like, I always was like, as long as you meet their needs, then they'll be happy. And that's not the case. Like a 2-year-old, they don't care. No. They're like, my needs are met and you're still not doing it for me.
Yeah.
Like it is
and
so.
If you are, then like 2 seconds later, you're not.
Yeah, 100%.
But then once they get to the like stage where the tantrums last for like an hour, like that was really hard. Mm-hmm. And there's no, you know, and they want something that's absolutely impossible. And then you're just going through your brain, like, what can I do to appease them, or what, like, or do I just let them sit there and figure it out and learn how to manage their emotions at the age of 2, where they're not probably even like neurologically able to do.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you're in your own inner conflict of like, what am I supposed to do? What does a good mom do? Am I taking the easy way out if I just let them eat the gummy worms, or am I teaching them a valuable lesson, or are they even able to learn this lesson? Right? You know, it's just
so many. Yeah. It's so true though. Like it just plays on your emotions of like, could I be doing this better or differently? Or when you get tunnel vision and you don't see anything like that, and you're like, I get very set on the way, like what I said, I was like, I'm going to stick to this. I always end up caving too. Well, not always, but most of the time I do end up caving, you know, but it's like picking your battles. And I think that's what's so hard. And then, you know, Charlotte was so difficult. She's she is why we didn't have a third. I think if she wasn't so difficult, we would have, I mean, I still would be like, I'd still be open to it, but my husband is not. Little thumbs up. I would still be open to it. I am looking for someone to give me a third baby.
You're putting that out there. Is that an advertisement? I'm sure.
Yeah, that's how that thumbs up came off.
People are going to be lining up.
Yeah.
I hope Matt is the one that listens and not somebody else.
He's gonna be like, why do you say things? I was picturing more like handing me a baby, but once it came out of my mouth, I was like, wow, it's
I'm taking sperm donations. Thank you. Wait, Matt does listen to this, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, most definitely. He'll hear it. It's fine.
I hope he will, because I don't know why it just turned into like a cheesy infomercial where you're like, I'm looking for a
third. Yeah. No, well, he knows, like, because I was like, unfortunately, that's how it came off, and I was like, why did I do that? Oh my gosh. Well, I talk about our hypothetical third child all the time, and he's like, why do you talk about this so much? And I'm like, I think you know, but like, listen. And I'm always like, listen, there's children that need to be adopted. And he's like, we're done having kids. He's like, we have our 2 kids. They're wonderful. And I'm like, okay, well, but I think that's like part of, you know, that plays into like all of my running, because it's like, I will never have that feeling ever again of like when you had the baby and stuff. And I think like marathons are so much for me, like that fill that void, or like the attempt to fill that void, that because like nothing is as miraculous, right, as bringing a child into the world. Nothing. Like nothing will ever compare to that. And so I think with running, like we place so much value in like trying to find our identity. I'm so sorry. I went really deep very quickly after I just tried to pour myself out.
This is your backpedaling and trying to fix it. She's like, I will not have another hot dog nipple moment. I am not going to do it.
Straight into the miracle of life.
The miracle. I had like half a therapy session, and I was like, I almost made it through the whole episode. I did. I almost did.
Is this what you do to try to save any conversation? Is you just start talking about the miracle of life?
Yeah, I'm like,
you know, like what this makes me think of the miracle of life.
What a blessing.
What a blessing.
It's such a blessing to be a mother. Well, I think we should end the podcast here.
Can we not? Tricia, throw some pelvic floor
Actually,
tips and tricks.
Yeah, Tricia, come on, validate us here. Give us, from a pelvic floor physical therapist standpoint, what advice do you have for new moms to maybe ease their transition back to running postpartum?
I would 100% go and be evaluated by a pelvic floor specialist, for one. I think that should be common practice in the United States. It is in places outside of the U.S. Where you go to your 6-week checkup and you're automatically sent off to a pelvic PT, regardless if you've had any complications or not. But just to kind of get a baseline and know where your weaknesses lie, if you have any muscle imbalances, like things that you need to focus on, and not just in terms of just the pelvic floor, because I think that it thankfully has become such a big focus postpartum, but then people tend to forget, like orthopedic wise, you're at a huge risk for injury. Just because whether you've run through your pregnancy or not, most people have taken weeks off postpartum. So just getting in front of somebody that can take a look at where your body is and what you need to work on to get back to running safely. I think that would probably be my biggest piece of advice.
Do you get more people that come to you postpartum, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, that kind of thing? Or do you get more people that are trying to do the work after something has happened?
I usually earlier on, actually. Like,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Where 6 weeks is almost far out for the majority of people that I work with. And then there's definitely some exceptions. Like some people are a year plus out where they've had issues because they went back too soon and they weren't ready or prepared. So, but I would say a lot of people now are more aware that like this is a need and you need to be taking care of your body for like before things happen.
I think we've talked about that, obviously, like where if you don't have someone telling you like, oh, you should just go and at least get the resources. It should actually be talked about during pregnancy, so that it's not something that you're backpedaling on, because I feel like that's what I see so much of is when people are like, I have this going on, what should I do? And then people are like, have you seen a pelvic floor specialist? Like, you have to do that, and they're like, oh, my baby's 8 months old. And like, that's when people start to notice the problems, is like when you just go back too soon. Or, because like you do get clear. The majority of people are getting cleared at 6 weeks, to go and do moderate exercise at that point.
Hard. I feel like it's kind of hard to forecast like what can happen too. Like, I think all of my injuries can all be directly traced back to pelvic floor stuff. And I, found out that I had a birth injury that makes sense with Eleanor, but I didn't know. And I didn't go to a pelvic floor PT until a decade later. And it took me a while to find a good one because that's another thing. But I think some people go and they like check, and it's wonderful that people go, but they can check the box. And you don't know until like, it's good to have them on your bench, because once you start training harder and running more intensely, like you need to go back too if you start noticing things, because especially if you go at the 6 week mark or 8 week mark, like a lot of healing still has to happen and you don't know what it's going to look like 6 months out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think one thing that a lot of people need to understand when they go to their 6 week checkup with their OBGYN or midwife is that they're getting cleared, but most of the time they're not even looking at you.
No, they just want to know if you're done bleeding.
Right. They want to know if you're done bleeding. They want to know what kind of birth control you want to be on to prevent another pregnancy early on. they don't know most of the time what kind of level of activity you've been with any of us. It's like, okay, we want to get back to running marathons plus, but that's not the typical population. So that's not what they're seeing. And their job is done. I mean, it's a shame.
Yeah.
But that's not their responsibility. So that
it really thinks that our healthcare system is such a mess, I guess, that I wonder if anybody's ever tried to like put forth a bill that made this mandatory, that you seek pelvic floor health or you get that checkup,
Right.
It would probably just be way too hard with the way that insurance is and everything, but that would be nice.
Yes, it would.
But I will say, and I know, so it sounds like what you're seeing too, Tricia, is like with the athletes that come to me, all of them now have seen a pelvic floor PT, the postpartum ones. Like it is the norm now, which is amazing. Just from like women educating women.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It really is awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully more PTs will become readily available too, because it's hard to find them. There's not many. And a lot of times insurance isn't going to cover it, or there's a lot of cash-based PTs. So it can be pricey for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in rural
And
areas.
if you can see somebody virtually, I know that can happen, but to me it still seems like it can't be as good as
right. And that's even like with
person.
Clients that I have that I work with. So I see patients. I mostly am seeing orthopedic patients, a lot of women though. But clients that I work with virtually, I always recommend them seeing a pelvic PT in person, because there's a lot to be said for someone that can be hands-on with you, and you can learn so much more.
When people are looking for a pelvic floor specialist, is this something that you'd have to be a PT for, or are people getting certified without being a PT? And is that something that would be a no-no, or is it like they probably are getting a lot out of the course? Or how do you feel about that? Because sometimes I feel like people can go get certifications online for a lot of things, like nutrition.
Yeah, pelvic floor specialist and pelvic floor physical therapist are two different things, right?
So you cannot be certified in the pelvic floor unless you're a PT. You have to be a PT. But there are plenty of people with no education experience that are like postpartum coaches or pregnancy coaches that you can go online and get a certification.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I mean, there's plenty of really good people that know a lot about the pelvic floor. Like Brianna Battles is one. And I took one of her courses. But I would suggest you find someone that has as much education as possible. Would be my
I definitely think, I just am so curious because I feel like I see it a lot, especially when I was pregnant. There was a lot of people that are like postpartum coaches, right? And that word is like thrown around quite a bit now.
Yes.
And I was looking for a nutritionist recently, and that freaked me out. There's a lot of people who are nutritionists and they seem to be
which is not an RD
dietitian.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, it's just like a cert online, which is awesome. Like I am all about it. But sometimes it's like if you're advertising yourself as something, just after having a baby, it's such a specific thing.
Right.
Like a 22-year-old that has never had a baby and is still in college might not know as much as someone who has had multiple children or even one and is a doctor of physical therapy,
Right.
So yeah. And so I was just curious.
Yeah. No. I would look for a PT. And especially as a runner, one that has an orthopedic experience too. I think that's really important because if you want to get back to doing high impact exercise and running, it's good to have both. Oh, everyone's gone.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Eleanor is here and Eleanor, say hi.
Hi.
That's Tricia.
Hi.
Good luck at cheer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
What's the video as it came out?
Yeah, I sent it to you. We'll talk about this. I'm almost done. Okay, sorry. She's got a lot going on. She just got back from a soccer tournament, an away soccer tournament.
Wow.
Yeah.
She is busy.
She's a busy girl. Well, is there anything that you guys want to add on the topic?
I don't think so.
Seems like the norm is about a year, unless you have multiple kids and you are so tired.
Right. Yeah.
Does that seem like a good summary?
You're so tired.
You're just so tired.
Great summary. That's yeah. I think just giving yourself time and that maybe your normal isn't what you were before, and like that's okay. And even if it's your third child, that you will not feel the same way you did before after your first and second, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah. With me summarizing that, I do not at all want to make that a timeline. Like if it takes longer than a year, it takes longer than a year. There really is no normal.
Right. Yeah.
Too many variables.
There are. Yeah.
And totally different kids, totally different pregnancies.
So individualized.
Yeah. So cute. You look like Mother Teresa.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Is it the braids? Is it the braids? Is that why?
It could be the braids. Or a polygamist, one or the other.
Oh my gosh. I saw one today at Walmart that I just could not stop looking at her because she was wearing a hot pink dress. Like normally they wear dark blue or purple, very muted, but she was there with her husband. Or I don't know. I mean, yeah, I do. That would be her husband. I'll make that assumption. Yeah. Anyway, but hot pink, and I was like, lady, where are you going in that hot pink dress?
Good for her.
It was crazy. And she had Skechers sneakers on with like they were black, but they had like a hot pink streak. And I was like, she's matching. And she's out at Walmart showing everybody. And I love that for her.
Yeah. Sounds like she's a fun one.
I really need, if I get a spare moment, I really need to do a deep dive on polygamy so that I know more about their culture.
Joining the polygamists?
I just want to know. Like, I didn't know that they could wear Skechers and hot pink.
Oh yeah,
good for them.
Oh yeah. It seems like Skechers might be their shoe of choice. I don't know. 1 second.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, let's read a review. We have a new review. It's from a polygamist. No, I'm just kidding.
My face just now is so stoked.
She's like, oh God, they found me.
We don't know if she's making fun of us or if she wants to be part of us.
All of the above.
Okay. This is entitled So Inspiring and Real. I found this podcast in the middle of my weird journey of starting racing in the middle of pregnancy and postpartum. I was trying to piece together all this information myself on the internet, and then I found the podcast through Shanna's Instagram and started gobbling down episodes. Thank you for answering so many questions I had. All of your journeys are just so inspirational, and I love how you keep it real. The vibes are great. I'm so often just laughing out loud with you while I listen in the car. I ran and bonked a marathon this past September, 8 months postpartum, right before I found the podcast and an awesome group of local mother runners and a competitive team. Since then, I have done a ton of PT, finally saw a pelvic floor physical therapist, ran a 45-minute 10K, a sub 25K, wow, got pregnant 11 months postpartum, and ran a 153 half 4 months pregnant. Dang.
Wow.
Oh, I am so thankful for this podcast. I'm doing this pregnancy and postpartum running journey so differently because of all the great information you have shared. Thank you for the inspiration and for sharing your stories. Well, that just made my week right there.
Awesome.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Her Instagram is Nene Cruz. So thank you. If that's her name, thank you, Nene. She is killing it.
Thanks,
I love it.
Seriously. It's like the epitome of moms just doing it all. Right. Like postpartum marathon and then
pregnant,
running a half 4 months pregnant. It's like just back to back, but still racing, still running, just doing it.
And like fast too.
Yeah. It's
very cool.
Like
and like trying to figure it all out on her own on the interwebs, and then I wish she had found my site, but Google hates me. So you can go to themotherrunners.com. There's a lot of info there too. Oh man.
Yeah, Google.
Thanks, Google. Sorry. another topic for another day. Well, okay. Well, it was lovely seeing your faces.
You too.
And thanks for sharing your postpartum journey. And anybody who's listening, just, if I would just say, don't set a timeline, but if something feels not right, go to the doctor.
Listen to your body.
Yep.
You know it best.
Yep. And
you know what's like, don't let other people tell you like, oh no, that's normal, or that's, like if you have alarm bells going off, listen to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel terrible.
And there doesn't have to be a postpartum race. Like, you just don't have to do that. Once
literally and figuratively.
Exactly. I had signed up for a race postpartum and I didn't run it. Like, it was a big one. I was excited about it for over a year. And it's like, I look back now and I'm still so glad that I did not. I'm so glad. It was so worth waiting. And because I didn't feel like myself. I mean, it's like, I didn't feel like I did 9 months prior when I was, because I would have been 6 months. A year prior when I wasn't pregnant, all of that. So, yeah, I think that I was just trying to do pregnancy math.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. You don't have anything to prove. You will get back on your body's own timeline. And when your kids let you sleep again, you'll get back. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for listening. Please be sure to leave a review. And don't forget that we are on Patreon, patreon.com/mileswithmomspodcast. We are leaving something there pretty much every week for you guys. So, including bonus episodes. So anyways, that's it. Bye.
Bye. Bye.